Right now, I'm seeing something very interesting in the local real estate market. Two homes on the same street can go up for sale on the same week, and one of them can sell quickly, potentially with multiple buyers interested in it, while the other one sits on the market week after week after week with no interested buyers. It's the same market, it's the same buyer pool, but it's very different results for these two home sellers. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly why that's happening so that if you're thinking about selling your home this year, you end up in the group of people who are getting offers and not in the group of people that are sitting on the market month after month. Here's the honest truth about the real estate market right now in 2026. Buyers are acting very cautiously. The number of homes for sale is incredibly high. Financing real estate properties is tighter and more difficult than it used to be, and buyers are not in a rush like they were just a couple years ago. When it comes to selling your home, this is not a market where good enough is actually good enough. You see, right now, for every home that sells, there's anywhere from 3 to 5 other homes in that exact same segment that will not sell that month. And then in the next cycle, more new inventory comes on, and that same low sales cycle repeats, leaving a huge group of sellers out on the sidelines wondering what they can do to get their home sold. The truth is, in a slower market, the best positioned homes are the ones that sell each month, leaving all the other sellers waiting month after month after month. The really concerning part is that the longer a home sits on the market, the more buyers start to stigmatize it and question what's wrong with it, even though it might be a perfectly good house. So what's really separating the winners from the losers out here in the 2026 real estate market? Well, first and foremost, obviously, it's the asking price. And we're not talking about just fire selling your property, but you have to have the asking price reflective of the true market value, or the home just gets completely overlooked. What I'm seeing right now is that most of these properties that aren't selling, they're not bad homes. They're just priced 5 to 10% higher than what is actually selling in their similar market. Now, you might think a pricing error of 5 to 10% sounds like a small problem, but in the real estate market, it shows up as a huge glowing problem that often gets your home overlooked. You see, when you miss your asking price, your home starts comparing against other properties that are properly priced, but they're offering quite a bit more, either a more desirable neighborhood, more square footage, or newer upgrades and amenities. Because there is so much choice out there for buyers, buyers spend a lot of time researching and comparing your home against all the other alternatives they could buy for the same price. The result is, if we're just 5 to 10% overpriced publicly, your home can often get completely overlooked and get almost no inquiries. This is because buyers are all shopping online first, and they're filtering out which properties are even worth the time to pop into an open house or book a private viewing. If your home sits outside of that range where the deals look like they're going to be happening, the buyers just simply swipe it to the side, and maybe it comes back on their radar later if you do a price change. Overpricing your home basically makes you invisible to serious buyers. Putting a fair price on your property gets you at least in the consideration mix, and putting a value price on your home is what actually gets buyers excited and motivated in this type of market. When a property looks like a real deal, that's when the urgency starts to appear in the buyer pool. And urgency, that sense that, hey, if I don't do something about this house, somebody else will, that's the thing you need to trigger offers in a market like this. So price is the most important thing holding most sellers back today, but it's not everything. The second most important thing is your first impression. In 2026 and beyond, the first viewing of your home does not actually happen in your home. It happens digitally on the online listing where the buyer is searching. Our lighting choices matter. The amount of clutter in our homes matters. Our paint choices and the overall feeling of the home really matters. All of this aligns to get a solid media kit, because the pictures and video tours of your home are the first and most important asset in getting a buyer interested, getting them off their computer and either onto the phone or into the car to come see your home in person. We need to remember that buyers are making quick decisions. There is a lot of homes to choose from, and they are quickly sifting and sorting, putting your home into either a pile of homes they're considering and are interested in, or are not worth the time. Now, let me be clear. Having amazing media and marketing doesn't change the value of your home. What it does is it makes your home stand out against the other competition and makes sure that people are qualifying it on the "I gotta see this" list, not the forget about that one" list. The real magic happens when you have incredible media and the proper price on a home. This creates an overwhelming demand in the market because your home stands out as people are searching for it online. Now, if the home looks incredible, but the price is wrong, we can still get interest in inquiries, but that usually falls off once people do their due diligence or they start to compare what they're actually getting and what you're offering. On the other side, if you have a great product, but you use terrible media and you don't present it well, people are going to devalue it online and maybe they won't even book a viewing. So we've talked about the asking price and we've talked about making a great first impression with your online media presentation. The third most important thing is buyer position. Every property potentially has multiple different buyer types that could be interested in it. But the truth is there's probably only one buyer type that's going to maximize the value and want to pay you the most for that property. For your home, maybe the perfect buyer is a first-time home buyer. For a different home, maybe the perfect buyer is actually a downsized buyer. And for a completely different home, the perfect buyer is actually an investor. A big mistake I see when people take their homes to market is to try to make the home appeal to everybody. They think that by appealing to everybody, it somehow increases the value of the home. But we're not selling your home to everybody. We're only selling it to one buyer. And by making the home appeal directly to them, that's actually how we maximize the value. You see, a buyer who's looking for a deal and wants to renovate the home over a few years and make some money is a much different buyer than a young two-income family with a third child on the way that just wants to move in and start enjoying their home and not have renovations. Similarly, a retiree downsized buyer has much different needs and wants in terms of the home, the layout, and the decor than a young millennial first-time home buyer. One of the things I do differently for my clients is spend a lot of time really considering who the perfect buyer for the property is. This is so important in a slower market because all of my clients are trying to maximize the exit price of their asset. Nobody wants to just dump their home on the market and sell it for a discount. By identifying who the perfect match for this home is, we can actually attract that person. The home's presentation, decoration, the description write-up, the media approach, everything should be centered around attracting the ideal buyer for the property. When that alignment all feels clear, the buyers sense it and they feel like, wow, this house feels just like me. Now, if we've gotten everything right up until this point, the next most important thing is to properly expose your home to as many buyers as possible. Just listing your home on the MLS or having a sign in the yard is not enough anymore. Many local home sellers don't realize we actually have two competing MLS systems that overlap here in Brantford. We've got our traditional system that the Brantford Regional Real Estate Association is part of, called ITSO, but we also have the Toronto Real Estate Board, which completely overlaps. Unfortunately, a lot of real estate agents are only members of one board or the other, and this can really limit your exposure. To get maximum exposure for a property, listing it on both of these real estate boards is key, because there could be Toronto real estate agents representing their clients who are only looking on the Toronto Real Estate Board, and then you can have local real estate agents representing their clients who are only looking on the local real estate board. In addition to being listed on both MLS systems, we also need to aggressively and actively market a property in 2026. This means not waiting for buyers just to find the property, but actively pushing the property in front of those buyers' eyes. And in 2026, our secret sauce is highly targeted ads. You see, when we know the exact buyer that is going to value this property, I can now create advertisements and target them directly to them on all the most popular platforms, putting your home in front of them while they're scrolling. Now, that's the new school approach with today's technology, but there's also tons of old school real estate hustle that goes into actively marketing a property. The biggest advantage that a large team has over an individual operator is a large shared database and an entire group of real estate agents all working together to sell each other's properties and help each other's buyers out. Now, there's a lot of technical steps here, but the main thing you want to ask is my home just being put up for sale, or is my home being actively marketed? It's the difference between a passive approach and an active approach. Okay, the last tip I have for you here might be the most important. Momentum is something I think about all the time when I'm helping my clients buy and sell properties. You have to understand that the first 2 weeks on the market are the most important, and it's the time when it's most likely to have multiple buyers interested in your home. The reason it works this way is because right now, even before your home is for sale, there is a current pool of buyers out there shopping, and they don't really like anything that's on the current market. They're patiently waiting and watching for every new listing. So when your home hits the market, it's instantly exposed to all of those active buyers. And they are all going to swarm in very quickly and consider it and either decide to view it or make an offer on it all within the first couple weeks. Our goal is always to try to capture one of those first 2 weeks buyers because they are the most motivated, they're the most tired from looking at homes already, and they're willing to write offers. It's also the most likely time that you have more than one buyer interested in your property at the same time. That's how you create some real leverage even in a slow market. Now, the problem is if none of the active buyers in the first couple of weeks like your property enough to make an offer, they've all kind of put it on the watch and maybe list, and now it's a much slower process to wait for new buyers to enter into the marketplace. Either they just got their mortgage pre-approval, they've just sold their home, or they've just decided to relocate. This is obviously a much slower group of buyers each week than that initial rush when we first came to the market. After the first few weeks on the market, the urgency around your property in the buyer's eyes starts to fade. If no one else is buying this, then I don't need to be in a rush to buy it either. I can just wait and watch and buy my time. Even worse is buyers might start to think that you're desperate and start firing you low or really unreasonable offers. And if we're being honest, I can usually tell after the first 2 weeks on market how the life of the listing is going to go. I see examples of this everywhere, even with my own clients. Some followed the strategy exactly. We priced it properly, we prepared it properly, we brought a strong offering into the market, and right there, we get the results quickly, even in a tough segment. On the other side, some of my clients want to push the price, take the home to market as is, and generally just kind of see what happens or test the market. Almost always, these are the homes that struggle to sell. Remember, it's the same market, but it's a very different strategy. It's the same market, but it's a different strategy that leads to a different outcome. Now, a lot of sellers think that if I'm just patient, eventually the right buyer and right offer will come along. And the idea of just waiting it out tends to work when the market is doing well, like it has for the past 20 to 30 years. The challenge is applying this same mindset to a slower or even slowing real estate market that we're experiencing right now. In a slower market, waiting doesn't usually make things better. Waiting actually brings more and more competition, and most of that new competition has been on the market for less time than you, and it has had more buyer enthusiasm around the listing. In a slower market, waiting usually means the market is slowly getting worse and worse for you the longer you've been on the market. More and more competition is building up, and buyer demand is slowing down. Once a home has been sitting on the market, the first question everybody starts to ask is, what's wrong with this house? Why does nobody else want it? Even if it's a perfectly good house that just somehow didn't have a buyer for the first couple months, the new buyers are still very cautious to see a home with high days on market. Then later, we can obviously correct this with a price adjustment, but that typically just signals to buyers that, hey, this person is desperate like I thought, so now's the time to lowball. I like to just give you the honest truth on this channel, and I'm telling you clearly right now that as a seller, time is not on your side. The winning sellers have a plan to come to market and get the job done as quickly as possible and get out of there. You don't want to be sitting around on the market when there are hundreds of other homes for sale and buyers are being very picky. This may sound too simple, but I'm going to give you the same advice that I use every single day. Before we hit that launch button and put a home live on the public market, you have to take a step back and do a really deep analysis. You want to take a deep look at what is actually sold comparable to you in the similar price range in just the last 30 days, and then turn around and look at what's available on the market. This is your exact competition that the buyers will be judging you against. When you do this, you can ask yourself a couple very clear questions. Question number one, am I the hands down best value for sale this weekend? Now notice I didn't say best price, I said best value. So that's the combination of everything we're offering and how we're presenting it versus the price. When you're the best value to the buyers on any given weekend, you're the one that gets the offer. Second question is browse through all the other listings online and look at yours beside it. How does yours fit in the swipe economy? Would your home even be considered in the pool of homes that are available in your neighborhood? Or does it look on paper like it's overpriced? Question number three is, does my home stand out? We need something, whether it's an incredible exterior shot, a unique price, a killer feature that nobody else has, but we need something in your home's presentation and marketing that nobody else has. This is a great way to stand out. If you can ask yourself these logical, unemotional questions and make sure you're positioned well in the market, you will win. If any of these questions aren't clear, or the answer is clearly a no, you want to hit the pause button and fix it before you go to market. Not after 30 days on market, not after 2 price reductions, before you go live the first time. Listen, in a market like this, every home can sell. There are buyers out there, the transactions are not zero. But you need to remember that not every strategy works in every different market condition. And right now, there's a very specific playbook that is helping sellers win and a whole bunch of bad advice that is causing sellers to lose. If you're considering a move this year and you want to understand how this current market applies to your situation, and you want me to walk you through the full winning playbook for your home, that's exactly what I do. All my contact information is right in this video below, and I look forward to hearing from you when you're ready.